Aloha and welcome to our video on the evidence of evolution. Today in the video we're going to describe how fossils support the theory of evolution as well as biogeography, continental drift, anatomy, and molecular biology all provide evidence for evolution. Okay, so to begin, let's talk about fossils. And we can see we have a fossil fish here. Now fossils give us a record of past life. Okay, it's things that have happened before in time. So it gives us an idea or a way that we can travel back in time and see what was here. Now fossils are rare. They happen in sedimentary rocks. So you start off with some kind of a sediment here, and then you'll have a fish or some other organism will die and it'll land down and sink into the sediment. And those sediments will then proceed to layer on top of it. And over time, minerals come in through and they replace the organic material, and that's how we end up with our fossil fish here. So it's not a common thing to find them. The thing that fossils do for us is they give us a clue as to what was living a long time ago. And that's the key, is it gives us a record of the different types of living things that have been on the planet. Okay, so when we're talking about evolution, one of the key things is we need to have time. So you can see down here we have a chart showing us the geologic time scale. And you can see that the Earth was created 4.6 billion years ago, way back here in the Precambrian times. Okay, and then you can see that it breaks to about this 542 million years ago. So all of this area here is what we call the Precambrian time. And that's going to be the older, lot less variety of life and things of that nature. From there, we can see how we break it down a little bit more. And the reason being is we have a little bit more opportunities to find evidence from these time periods. So here's another representation of the geologic time scale. What we've done is we've taken it to represent one day. So you can see the formation of the Earth, which is actually 4.6 billion years ago, is when the Earth formed. And we can see that it wasn't until 2 o'clock in the morning that we had solid rocks. And not until 4 o'clock in the morning did we have life. Okay, so our oldest fossils are from 5:30 in the morning. And then we notice here at 6 o'clock a big change. Oxygen starts to begin to accumulate. So at 6 o'clock we see evidence of photosynthesis. Okay. At 1:52 in the afternoon, almost 2 o'clock, oxygen reached its current levels. And then we finally get to algae here at 2 o'clock. Okay, and then you can follow up. You can see that we have here the Cambrian explosion. Land plants didn't come until 9:52 at night. Dinosaurs were at almost 11 o'clock. Mammals came at about 11:39, and here, just 17 seconds before midnight, is where we have evidence of the first humans. So you can see that we haven't been around for that long if you take it the entire time period of the Earth. And that's kind of what we're showing, is that we have an awful lot of time from the origin of life here to us for evolution to occur. Now, one of the topics you'll hear about is biogeography, and that's basically the geography of life. Where is it evolved? What type of environment is it in? And we recall back to Darwin and his finches, we talk about the Galapagos Islands, and we can kind of see it here, that we have a species that arrived on island A there. Okay, now species B split from A and it may have moved over to here, or some of the A may have gone and B could have evolved there. We'll see C do the same thing and D do this as well. So what you notice is that because it's an island area, we can see that each of the islands promotes its own speciation. Each of the areas that the animals can live, some other trait might be selected for by nature, and that's why we see this speciation going across. Now, continental drift is another one. 225 million years ago, it was believed that all of the land masses were locked together in what we called Pangaea, one supercontinent. And over those past 225 million years, these continents have migrated and moved to their present-day locations. And by looking at this, we can see how populations that would have once thrived here were together, and that's why we see similarities. So if we look at monkeys, monkeys are found here, and they're found here in the world, and that's because a long time ago they were together. So that's when they had those original primates, the original monkeys, and then they evolved into different species. And the new world monkeys here and the old world monkeys there, while they're both primates, there are distinctions between the two. Okay, so we can see that there's that evidence that evolution has changed, and that's what we're talking about. We're seeing that change in the life, and that's all evolution is. Okay, plate tectonics is just incorporates continental drift into it, and when you take an earth science class, you'll learn a lot more about that one. Now we can also see evidence for evolution when we look at what we call homologous structures. Okay, and homologous is going to be similar. Okay, so if we take three different animals here, we have a penguin, which is a bird, an alligator, which is a reptile, a human, and a bat, both of which are mammals, and we take a look at their forearms here, what we notice is there's one single solitary bone here, okay, and that would be the humerus, and you can see it there. And then we have a pair of bones here, the radius and ulna, okay, and then we have our carpals, and then our phalanges, our carpals and phalanges, our carpals and phalanges, so on and so forth. So even though we're four not closely related species by any means, we all share the same pieces and parts, and that kind of shows this homologous structure, shows us that there was a common ancestor that probably had the bones in that alignment. Okay, molecular biology has also given us evidence for evolution, because what we can do is we can look at the genetic material, and we can see that at some point in time it was the same, and then we split into two populations. One population just kept it the same, the other population had a mutation, and we can see that. And we can see how closely these two species are related if we compare the modern gene sequencing here. So we can look at the nucleotides and pair them up and see how similar these two species are. So that gives us an idea that we can find how closely related species are, or where species might have evolved from, and that paints an interesting picture, but it also gives us a lot of evolutionary evidence. Okay, so in summary, we have a couple different pieces of evidence. We had the fossil record, and by examining a fossil record, it gives us information about when things lived and how they may have changed. We also have biogeography, which is finding a pattern of the way things are distributed, or looking at where animals live or plants live, and that gives us evidence for evolution as well. We talked about comparative anatomy by looking at homologous structures. And then finally, we talked about molecular biology and how we can compare DNA. So that's it for this video. Good luck with the lessons. They'll go into everything in a little more detail. And as always, we'll see you in the next video.